Okay. I think I skipped the mitzvah peer review. So we'll go back to that and then we'll pick up again Kedushin Bli Neder. Okay. HaMitzvah Ashtayim Shtem Esrei V'Mosayim 212. He should see Vonu Liflois V'Lirbois. Now, Ulechavein is a very strange word. Ulechavein L'kiyum Amin. Uliskavein. But it's not clear. This Arab word, we'll talk about it soon, or just one of the words that it means kavana or mator, the purpose, and we'll see about this as we go on. Okay, but there's a mitzvah approval, and somehow the mator or the kavana is kiyum amin. Kiyum amin l'cheira means the human race. And we'll see about that also as we go on. So there's a very strange statement. The mitzvah is puru for kiyum amin, for the human race. Okay. Now, if you look at the Seder mitzvahs, which begin with puru, this Kiddushin, okay, and then there's the Sameach, Shona Achas, and Mila somehow gets in there, and then you go back and forth with the Yibum Chlitza, Gittin, all different and Motzi Shemra and Oines, Mafate. You'll have the whole slew with all mitzvahs which are nageli issues. Se a priori, the Rambam has in mind to put the mitzvah puruvu together with the mitzvahs which have to do with issues, which we have to understand, is there some meaning for this or not? So I would suggest that the Rambam wants to give us a hint that the mitzvah puruvu and Kiddushin is a hechsher mitzvah for puruvu. And therefore, interesting, in Minyan HaKotzer, in Proti mitzvahs, in Hilchos Ishus, the Ram goes like this. Shtei mitzvahs Aseh v'zeu pirton. Shtei lav v'shtei mitzvahs Aseh. Lisa isha b'ksuva v'kiddushin. Okay. Daled. Lifreis v'lirbois mimeno. What does it mean, mimeno? From this isha that you're married to. So you get the impression that somehow the mitzvah puruvu is tied into Kedushin Nisuin. I mean, I'm not going to even think of suggesting that a person horny about Pnuya and they have children, they're not Mekayim mitzvah puruvu. But l'cheira, the ideal way, not sure what that means exactly, Mekayim puruvu is to ishus. And that's liflois v'lirbois mimeno. Interesting lotion. The truth is, the water makes a big deal about this. Is a vachoigon. In Shilta Kuf Samachei, he says like this: the Mechayvin, the base Israel, Leminsov Noshe, to get married to women, vo olude bone, and to give birth to children. Ume'asik b'pirivya. I'm not sure two things, to give birth to children and to be involved in the period. I'm not sure what the two things are. But listen to the pasuk that he quotes in Yirmiyah. Tichsiv kachu noshim v'olidu bonim u'bonos. Get married and have children. It seems, though, that's what Navi says, that the mitzvah is to get married and have children. And then that's what the Rambam is saying also, that liflois v'lilbois mimeno. The Hamik Shiloh adds other guys to this, whether you want them or not, you'll decide yourself in Sivkot and Aleph, but whatever it is, the Rambam over here in the Prati Mitzvah is very clear, and you have the Shote saying like that. The interesting thing is this all is coming against the Rosh, because the Rosh says there's no need to get that the marriage is not a hechsher mitzvah for puru, because you're going to have children through pilegesh. That's what he says. Okay. So it comes out an interesting thing. On one hand, according to the Rambam, Kiddushin is the mitzvah for the Atzah, which we'll talk about. We never get to it today. And secondly, it's a hechsher mitzvah puru. According to the Rosh, it's zero, because there's no separate mitzvah of Kiddushin, as he says. And I think I mentioned that last week. And it's not a hechsher mitzvah, because you can have children through pilegesh. So that is okay. There's a question over here, Lifois Malil boys. So Kapach translates it as Lahoilid. And there is something that you might want to say here, and what this actually means, because since the mitzvah is Kiyum Amin, the idea of Hidlot is a very important thing. Now, let's go on to this issue. Ulchavein le Kiyum Amin. So the question is, be quiet. Is this such a tzad to say that you have to have kavanah for Kiyum Amin? Mitzvah ain't tzrichas kavanah in general, or maybe yes or no. But over here, the mitzvah is the chaved. That's what he means. So let me just bring this example over here. The Gemara says Yevomis, and some of Beis and Aleph, and the Ram and Hilchos Ishus, see about it, that if a goy has children and he converts to Judaism, he's Mekayim Kuruvu. And you understand that the idea of Kavalas mitzvah, when he's a guy, the mitzvah in Yisrael, l'cheira, is irrelevant. So if Kavanah is so important, l'cheira, you couldn't have imagined that the guy who's misgaya is Mekayim Kuruvu. That's what I would suggest. So I don't believe that it's kavona, but it's more like matorah. And I found a similar lashon in Pirush HaMishnah in Sanhedrin, in Perek Zayin, Mishnah Daled, he says, Shenizbarer, Shematoris Hamishko, he Kiyum Amin. The purpose of Tashmish Hamita is Kiyum Amin. So that sounds very similar to what's going on in here in Sefer Mitzvah. That's what I would suggest. Kiyum Amin. Ibn Timin and Kapach translate as Kiyum Amin. Ibn Eoiv translate as Asmodus Amin. But it means the maintenance or the continuation of the human race. We're talking about Min Anushi. Kiyum Amin. I assume so. So, l'cheira, if you're talking about the maintenance of the human race, the issue of being Jewish or not Jewish on the progeny, l'cheira is irrelevant. The human race. So, the emes is, that's the Gemara in Yevomis. And some base of it, Itma. Hoyle bonim biyosei oiv chovim goy ben his gaye. Rabbi Yechanan Oma kiyim priyabiyah. Mo b'chayis mem zayin ben aleph. So the Gemara only talks about the conversion of the father. We don't know the children have to convert. And you would have said, also like that in the Rambam, in Pirush Mishnayis, he explains why Pri Bolivia is a son and a daughter. He says in Yevomis in Perek Vov, Mishnah Zayin, HaMitzvos zochu nekeva, shebohem kiyum amin. I'm not sure exactly what he means. They can't get married. So I'm not sure how you play this out, but he does say that the kiyum amin is an important issue. In Rivia, and that's what he's talking about here. So interesting. It's not like an isolated phenomenon over here in Sefer Mitzvos. You find already remnants of it in two places in Pirush Mishnayos. Now, the problem is, comes the Rambam, and he adds something new. We have no idea where it comes from. I think the Aruch HaShulchan, the Aruch HaNer, the Aruch HaNer, Derech Pilpul tries to say how the Rambam got it, but there's no mention in the Gemara that the children have to be Jewish. But the Rambam in Hilchos Ishus, in Terek Vov, Tes Vov, Halacha Vov, Hoyle Bonim Begeyusai, V'nizgayer, Hu V'heim, Harizekiyum Mitzvah. But he says, Hu V'heim. The importance is that the children also have to misguide. So this becomes very interesting. What is the mitzvah? The mitzvah is kiyum min ho'anushi. It's the human race, or it's Jews. So if you already say that it's Jews, so I understand that you need the giyur of the son. But if you talk about the human race, it's very odd that the Rambam, seems to say in Mishnah Torah that the children also have to misgaya. Now, let's think for a second. This mitzvah was originally said to Bnei Noach, and if it was said to Bnei Noach, it's a double portion. That b'shas nesinasai, the mitzvah is kiyum min anushi. It's not a Jew. There are no Jews then. This mitzvah was not nishnis achaman teira. It's only because of the Gemara in Sanhedrin on the test on the base that since Zoy Nishnis is Lo Yisrael, Nemra below the Bnei Noach. So Mehechetese that the essence of the mitzvah should change, and it's not Kiyum Min Anushi, it's something about the Jewish people. It's amazing issue. So l'chayres it comes out. Listen, I'm changes. I don't know anything. In Pirush Mishnayis, and here it's Sefer, it's very clear that it's Kiyum Amin. And Mr. Terry, somehow we're talking about the Jewish people. How does that happen? What that means, I don't know. Just another point here. And this Ramam, Hoyle Bonim, Bigiusai, when this guy who behaim, how is it Kiyum Mitzvah? Okay. Well, it's the Rambam of the Gemara in Yevomis. Whether the mitzvah is bia in Puruvu, the Maisa mitzvah, we have to think about it and we will talk about it. But l'cheira, can one say that when he was a guy, there was a Maisa mitzvah and that's mitzvah, and that's why it became after l'cheira? It's nuts. So l'cheira means there's a mitzvah and just having children, even though there was no Maisa mitzvah at all. The mitzvah that you have children is enough. So you understand yourself. If that's true, if that's true, if there's no Maisa mitzvah in such a case, it's just meyuchas after mamela. The fact that you have a son and a daughter of a mitzias, that's enough to mekayim the mitzvah. So the idea. So first I pointed out you don't need kavanah. That's what I pointed out before. But also not the koil is no ma'aser mitzvah. That which he did before l'chera is nothing. It's just he happens to have children. Very, very interesting thing. Now, next. So let's go on. So now we know HaMitzvah, Hashtei Mesrei Umosayim, He Shedibono Lipus Lirbois, Ulechavein, Lekiyum Amin, means, I guess the Matorah is Kiyum Amin. V'zois He Mitzvahs Pirya B'rivya. Vu Amrei Yis'aleh, Hu Uhu. Now, we have no clue, and we'll go talk about this soon, which pasuk the Ram is referring to. Because it says many times in the Torah, Puruvu. And it's many times, and we'll see how many times. Let's see. It says in Bereshis, Perek Aleph twice. Once in Perek Chav Bei, Pasuk Chav Beis, and the second time in Chav Ches. The first time in Chav Beis is out of the question. Yoim, it's on the 5th day of creation of Ma'aseh Bereshis, and it was said by Dogim. And that's the Gemara Ksuva says, and Hayam and Aleph, the Tani Bakapora, Besula Nisses Berevi, Ubu'ulas, Bechamishi, Hoyel, Venemro, Boy, Brochel Dogim. Brochel Dogim. So Puvu of Ma'aseh Bereshis is a bracha. And it's not a tzivui. And it's not the minanushi, you understand. The second time could have been a tzivui, but more mistab that it's a bracha. You have to decide yourself. However, you look in Aleph Chav Ches, and it sees Rebbe Hakim, but the Chinuch L'maisa says that the makor for the mitzvah is the one in Bereshis, because the Chinuch puts the mitzvah Puruvu in Parshas Bereshis. Bereshis yesh bo mitzvah achas v'hi mitzvah pupir v'rivyo shenemar vayivorech oisom elokim vayomer lehem puruvu. So I guess it's two separate things. But you know, you could have interpreted vayivorech elokim vayomer is a bracha and it's not a tzivur. Okay, the chinuch one is like that. It's not, you know, it's not clear. So it's 2 times in Parshas Bereshis and 3 times in Parshas Noach. You'll see in Bereshis Ches Yud Zayin, Tes Aleph, and Tes Ches. And this was said to Noach Ubono. L'cheira, the first time that it says Puruvu in Parshas Noach is not a mitzvah, but it's a heta tashmish, because there was an Easter tashmish in Teva. Kol achaya asher itcho mikol bosor bo'if u'vabehemo u'chol remes al ha'oretz hayitzei itoch v'shotzu ba'oretz u'puru u'vu al ha'oretz. So Rashi in Shotzu Ba'oretz V'loi B'teva Magid She'af HaBehema V'oif Nesru B'tashmish. So l'cheira, the first time is a het tashmish, nothing to do with the mitzvah. The second time l'cheira is a bracha. Vayivorech Elokim es Noach v'yesbono vayomer lehem puruvu u'miles ha'oretz. That's Tes Aleph. The third time, l'cheira is a tzivui. V'atem puruvu shirtzu ba'oretz u'uvu bo. That's Bereshis Tes Posek Zayin. Now, this is a good choice because the Gemara Sanhedrin on New Testament base, V'haripirya b'rivya shenemra libnei Noach dichsiv v'atem puruvu. The word v'atem is only found once in Chumash, and that's this one. The last time it says in the Torah puruvu by the Bnei Noach. Rashi also in Chumash in Perek Tes Posek Zayin Divrei Amaschol v'atem puruvu lefi pshutoi harishona lebracha v'kan letzivui. The second one. The Rishona is Tes Aleph, and the Shniya is Tes Zayin. So if you're interested more in this, you can see Rab Chaim Heller in this mitzvah in Ha'ora 6, the Yachud Shirin Nischos, and Frankel in Huchos Ishus, Perek Tes Vav, Halacha Aleph. But I think, the general approach, I think this is the way to go. Okay. So we have a pasuk, we're not sure which one he's referring to, because he doesn't say v'atem puruvu, he says puruvu. And the Chinuch clearly interprets the one in Bereshis. The Gemara seems to clearly go for the one in Noach, the last one. Okay, now there's another enigmatic phrase. Ukva bi'aroi, bi'aru, ukva bi'aru, that's the Chachmei HaMesorah, Matik Yashmur, Shechoson Eino Chayiv B'Kri Shema Kishenose B'Sura B'Somu Tam Lezeh Heyoser Esek B'Mitzvah. So the question we have to ask ourselves, just excuse me, I want to go back for a second. We'll go back and assume I forget this. This is interesting. This mitzvah, the Ram says, Lu Yisrael, right? Hish Tzivonu, correct? The Ram Mishnah in no place in Hilchos Malachim Chamoseim, or Milchamois, you don't find that there's a mitzvah pre-revivia by Goyim, and you should say, why am I doing acrobatics to talk about this? The statement the Gemara just quoted, the Gemara Sanhedrin, Israel Nemra, B'nei Noach. It was not Nishnis in Matan Torah, correct? The reason why I'm doing this also, it's certainly Masha, the Ram doesn't quote that the Bnei Noach HaMitzvah in Perek Tes V'Chos Malachim. It's pretty clear in the State and Gemara. However, the reason why I'm doing this is there's a shiltes. The shiltes of Avachoi and Shilta Kuf Samachei. V'lo mi boy Yisrael, that is a mitzvah pre-revia, elo afilu goyim mifkedei api berivia tichsiv v'atem puruvu. So comes the shilta, says the state in pasuk. Is referring to Bnei Noach, is referring to goyim v'atem puruvu. What happens to the Gemara? The Tzin discusses it. I'm just telling you, it's a very clear shiltus. The question is, now let's go back to this. We had this phrase here that the Rambam has, all of a sudden, he's coming here to say, Kwabiru, שהחוסן אינו חייב בקריאת שמע כשנוסע פסולה, ושמו טעם לזה, היוסי עסק במצווה. So you understand yourself that the pashtus is that the Rambam in no way is trying to is telling you time HaMitzvos. You understand? It doesn't make any sense. Correct? Because not time HaMitzvos, but the dinim of this mitzvah. There's no reason to talk about dinim over here. You know, he's to mention this din as opposed to other dinim. Doesn't make any sense. So, l'chera, what the Ram is trying to do here is to prove there's a mitzvah pre-revivia, a mitzvah minyan. So, the question one should ask is, why does the Rambam have to go out of his way to prove such a thing? The mitzvah pre-revivia. The Bahag also has it in the mitzvahs Kumbasei of Tes. The number Tes, the 9th mitzvah, is pre-revivia. So one could say that the psukim of Puruvu, all the psukim of Puruvu, only brachas and no tzivuyim. In fact, the Ibn Ezra says that Puruvu is only an asmachta for this mitzvah. The Ibn Ezra in Shita Acheres, in his Pirush on Bereshis Aleph Chof Ches, Puruvu hi bracha. Ve'tiku chachamenu ki pre-revia mitzvah. V'samu ze akosuv lezeche u'lasmach. So this is like the chinuch. It's very strange. What about the pasuk in Noach? He doesn't talk about it. We're taking it from Bereshis, and it really is true to a bracha. Oh, but this is makol for the mitzvah. Very strange, Ibn Ezra. You could say, but this requires a little work, that the mitzvah was basically said to Bnei Noach, never was said to Yisrael. Befrat, according to the Ram Pirush Mishnayis and Geranosha, that which were mechuyev in mitzvahs is only because of Har Sinai, and nothing before is mechayev. So, you know, it's very odd that a mitzvah which was said to Bnei Noach should be one of the minyan mitzvahs for Yisrael. Another approach is you don't find this in minyan mitzvah of Sadigoin. So maybe the Rambam wanted to prove that, you know, it's a mistake and there's a mitzvah him and minyan. But whatever it is, the Rambam is trying to prove there's a mitzvah and minyan. And l'chera, the proof is Isaac b'mitzvah. And the only way, in other words, it's a double portion in Rambam that you're Isaac in a mitzvah d'Rabbanon, that you're not part of a mitzvah d'Raisa. So if there's Isaac b'mitzvah over here, and it's a P'tul Kriyishma, there's a mitzvah d'Raisa of Puruvu, and he's Isaac in the mitzvah Puruvu. And l'chera, I just, you know, he's not He's not the I would have said that the Isaac is the Maisa Bia, but that wouldn't part from Kriyishma. So Torah, thinking about the Bia, even though that's called Isaac Mitzvah according to the Rambam. So here's a very odd thing. We just said that if you have children and the B is nothing because he was a guy. But if he's tired in the beer in order to be kind of peer review, that makes it Isaac Mitzvah. It's very interesting. It's very strange. You don't need a Maisa Bia, but the Maisa Bia could be part of it, or it's action. I don't know, because he's considered, since he's thinking about the Bia, hey, you say Isaac b'mitzvah. Comes the Rambam further. Ukfor is boye mishpetei mitzvah zo va mischayiv mimeno bepek shishi miyavomis. Umitzvah zo ein hanoshim chayovas bo. Ubebei omu, said it mefurish, o ish mitzuva pri rivia, avolo ho isha. So the Ram Pirush Pshnayis in Kedushin, in Perek Aleph Mishnah Zayin, kach gam mitzvahs pri rivia. Betalmud Torah, Besalmud Torah, Upidin Abein, Umechemes Amolek, Kol Achas Mehen, Aseh Shlo Hazman Grom, Ve'ein Hanoshim Chayovus Behen, El Kulon Habola Kmo Shebe'al. The Ram's opinion, just pointing out, he says it though, and about this mitzvah also, that all these limudim about noshim chayov and not chayovim are really just limudim ba'almu. What really happens is that it's a kabbalah. It's a matiki ashmur, that noshim chayiv in this mitzvah, not that mitzvah. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, show you this. Take a little sorry. I'll just tell you first. Okay. Let's see if I don't see it. Okay, I'll tell you what it says. The Rambam, when he talks about how Moshe Rabbeinu, when he quotes the Gemara in Eilvin, Tacha Seda Mishnah, in the Akdama to the Pirush Mishnayis, he says basically, and he goes through, he says, he gives you an example of how they discussed the dinim of the mitzvah sukkah, and he goes on to explain what the dinim were. And one of the dinim mentioned there, you check it out, is that noshim apotet sukkah. It's not a general cloud of mitzvah sheshman gromo. It was a kabbalah in the mitzvah of sukkah, that Noshma Pturis. Okay. So that's peer review. Now, back to the mitzvah of Kedushin. Now, we discussed whether the mitzvah is Nesuin, Kedushin, what he learns in Sefer Mitzvas, and what it might be Mishnah Torah. Now, whatever that means, we spoke about it. Loses, vilos, beseis, dover biaraisha, oy bishtar babia, vizui mitzvah kedushin. V'rem is olov, omroi. Kikach ish isha uboalo. Okay. See here. Let me start like this. I discussed last week, and I'm just very confused about this. Whether it's a mitzvah of Kedushin, the Rambam, the Rosh, but is a Hechsher mitzvah? It's not a Hechsher mitzvah. Is it a conglomerate mitzvah of Kedushin plus Nisuin, or the mitzvah really is Nisuin or Kedushin plus Nisuin? We went through all different issues, okay? And we tried to prove also that there is a mitzvah of Kedushin because the Ram says, because the Ram's opinion is that there's a Birchas HaMitzvah on Kedushin. And you couldn't imagine a Birchas HaMitzvah, there wasn't a mitzvah. The Rasha is not a Birchas HaMitzvah. We also said that the Gemara in the second paragraph of Kedushin, Mitzvah Yosef Mishpah, L'cheira, that there's a mitzvah, but there's a mitzvah. I'm just very confused about the whole thing. And the point of confusion in the issue is really this. The Torah, every time that it mentions Kiddushin, it's really the Torah is telling a story. There's no sivui in the that you could have imagined it's sivui in the Torah. There's one, the Torah is telling a story about Motzi Shemra or Boiler or some other volume. Another time, Ishki Kachazisha Bala, then he wants his Motzabai of his Dava, the Kosala Sefer Krisis is Gerishin. Another time the Torah says that Kikach Isha and he should be Mesamecha for Shonachas. So it is true that the Matiki Ashmur have said this is a mitzvah. There's a Birchas a mitzvah. But the question is, the same Matiki Ashmur, who said it's a mitzvah, according to the Rambam, mitzvahs, as he says in Shorish Beis, have to be Torah Shebiksav. And you give me this is not enough. But Torah Shebiksav means that it's Mefurish in Torah Shebiksav, or it's a Pirush Makubal. So what does it mean? The Torah says that Ki Yikach Is Isha is a sipur, the story of when you have Gerushin, was only the context of Kedushin. When do you have Moti Shemra? Only context of Kedushin. When do you have a Simach? Only context of Kedushin. But how can there be a Pirush Makubal and to be able to read the pasuk and end up with a mitzvah? Which sounds very odd, to say the least. Now, the truth is, that's the pasuk. Ki yikach ish isha u'ba'alo v'hoyu lo imloi timsa chen be'eno ki motza ba'el v'zdova v'chosel l'sei b'krisis v'nosam b'yoda v'shilcha mi'beisai. So we find something similar to this in the mitzvah of Minchas HaOmer, a mitzvah say Mem Daled, and the mitzvah of Halva in Keset Talves Ami, mitzvah Kuf Tzadi Zayin, that the Mechilta says it's a chayva. The Ram quotes Mechilta in both of these mitzvahs. And it seems to be a raya, even though im minchas bikuim or im kesem talves ami, you don't get the place of the chayv, you don't get the place of the mitzvah. But the Matiki Ashmur said there's a chiyuv. But it's im. So im means if. So how is there tzivui? So here, and so you say, oh, so Matiki Ashmur say it. But here it's much easier because you look at the Mechilta, it quotes psukim, other psukim, to prove that the im in Minchas Bikurim is a chiyuv, and in Kesef Mahave Talvitenu is also a chiyuv. But over here in the midst of Kedushin, there's no independent pasuk telling you that there's a chiyuv. The question, how does this work out? See, and the real problem is the Rambam needs a Pirush Makubal. Right? Pirush Makubal needs a remes in the pasuk, or you give me this. So where do you have in Kiddushin a remes? So you give me this, or the tilu is a Pirush Makubal in that the Kiddushin is a mitzvah in the minyan, or the Kiddushin is a tzivoy. I just don't know how you pull the whole thing together. You see, it could be that the fact that the Matiki Ashmur found in Kesef Talves Ami or in Minchas HaOmer, the pasuk is a chayva, so we reinterpret. You have to reinterpret the Torah Shebiksav. But here, there's no direction for this. So why is it called the Pirush Makubal? If it's not called the Pirush Makubal, then it has nothing to do with Torah Shebiksav. If it's nothing to do with Torah Shebiksav, it's nothing to do with Minyan Mitzvahs. Minyan Mitzvah means Torah Shebiksav. Werden l'cha Torah v'mitzvah. Torah is the Torah Shebiksav. So I don't get it 100%. Now, okay, now, let me just point this out to you. I think I'm not sure if I did it last week, but it deserves anyway to be repeated. There are two texts in this mitzvah here. In Ibn Tibin and in Kapach, it says like this. Allah says Dova, I'm not going exactly, as there might be little nuances between Kapach and Ibn Tibin. Dova, Biyad, Aisha, or Bishtar, or Bibia, Vizoi, Mitzvahs Kedushin, Remez, or Omroi, Yikach Ish Isha, Ubo Alo, Hoire Shu Yikne Bibi'ila. Okay? So quotes the pasuk, Ki Ish Isha Ubo the pasuk by Gerushin, and that's what he quotes here. Okay? So it's a little interesting, a priori, when you read it, it says, V'remes Olov, it says, V'zui Mitzvah Kedushin, V'remes Olov, Amroi, Hi'ekachi Shisho Ba'alo, Hoire Shitne Bebe'ilo. Is it a remes on the Mitzvahs Kedushin? Or it's a raya that there's Kedushin Bia? The same way it goes on, it says Kedushin B'shtar. Is there a pasuk over here for the mitzvah? So that's what I would just ask, just to get you thinking about it. Comes Ibn Iyov, and he has a different text here. Let me read it to you. B'seis Dova B'yaro Isha, or B'shtar, or B'bia, V'zoi Mitzvahs Kedushin. B'he'ora Olov, Omroi, Ki yikach ish isha ubo eleho. And then, Ki yikach ish isha ubo alo, hoire shu yikne bibi'ilo. So a priori, you could have said that what Ibn Iyov has in mind, or this whatever he's presenting, is there's a pasuk for the Mitzvahs Kedushin, that's Ki yikach ish isha ubo eleho. And then there's a pasuk for Kedushin Bia. Ki yikach ish isha ubala, hoire shu yikne bibi'ila. So you understand, Rabbi Isai, that this is not a machlekes about translation. You know, it's not a whole new pasuk that's not born because of a difference of translation. You're talking about different texts. In fact, I want to tell you is, remember, we had mitzvah ayin test. I'm not sure how far I'm going to get over here, but you know, we mentioned in mitzvah ayin test that in the mitzvah of b'chol, behemoth tehira, that originally, and that's what the Ramban presents, that the Rambam's opinion was that b'chol chutz la'aretz is chulin gemurim. Later on, he added that it's Kodesh Ve'eino Nikrab. Okay. So the interesting thing, when you look at the translation in Mitzvah Ayin Tes of Ibn Eov, you'll find that he has the old text, Madua Kamo, which the Ramban is of the opinion, and means that B'chol Behemoth Tehira is Chulun Gemur. However, Ibn Tibbon has the text that we have, Madura Bas. Here also, I want to suggest that the Rambam originally wrote this, that there's a pasuk for Kedushin, the Mitzvahs Kedushin. And there's a pasuk for Bia. And then the Rambam changed his mind. Why did the Rambam change his mind? Because it's really very odd to say oh, excuse me. I said this wrong. I think it's wrong. He says, yeah. Vizui mitzvahs, and the Ibn Eov, one thing is important. Vizui mitzvahs kiddushin, ve'ola olav is ki yikach ish isho bo'olo, that's mitzvahs kiddushin. Ki yikach ish isho bo'eleho, heire shuhu yikne bebe'ila. So the pasuk bo'ela. So that, the Ram says, impossible. Because the bo'eleh is motzi shemra, he changed his mind. That can't be that the beer, because it's talking about a beer after Kiddushin. And he say, I'll lose volume. So the Ram changed his mind. But the Rai doch that it's Mishnah, it's Madua Kamo. In Madua Kamo, in Pirush Mishnayis, in the Rambam, in Kiddushin Perek Aleph Mishnah Aleph, the original text, how do you know Kedushay Bia in the Torah? Ki kachish isha ubo eleho. And in Madua Basra, the Rambam changed it to Ki kachish isha ubo alo. So all I'm trying to tell you is this in Ibn Eov was the original opinion of the Rambam, that the Mitzvah Kiddushin, you learn a Ki kachish ubo, and you learn out Kedushay Bia from Kiyikachish Isho Boiler as the Madur Kama Pirush Mishnayis. The Ram changed his mind, so the Ram just knocked out the whole pasuk Uboiler. And I think what's happening is you're learning two things according to the Rambam from Uboiler. You learn the Mitzvah Kedushin, and that's the Hemshech Zui Mitzvah Kedushin. Ve'olo is this pasuk, and you're also learning out Kedushin Bia. It's an amazing thing. That is what I think is going on between Ibn Tibbon and Ibn Eov. And as the Rambam later changed his mind, that you learn HaKadoshi Bia from a Ba'ala. It's not only Madura Basra in Pirush Mishnayis and Perek Aleph of Kiddushin, Mishnah Aleph, but in Chuvas Rambam, he says the Makor for Kedushay Bia is Ki Yikach Ish Isha Ubal. So the Rambam has changed his mind, and it's very clear what Ibn Tibbon is reflecting, what Ibn Eov was reflecting. Now, Mitzvah Hashem, we'll pick up next time.